All right. Well, first of all, we better send out some apologies because this has been like giving birth.
We're on the wrong page. We're late. Oh my goodness.
It's been a struggle. I don't know what happened. I guess
that's what you get when you don't work with experts, I guess.
That's exactly right. The program that we're using, they had a problem. Facebook changed something. And
yes.
We can't do it like we normally do it.
Right. They cannot use this app in groups. It has to be on just a regular Facebook page. So they're working on it, and hopefully they'll get it fixed soon. And we hope that they do get it fixed soon.
What I guess is when we're done with this, you'll probably post this in Memory People. Then why not?
Yep.
Because I don't think we're going to get a lot of viewers. But
yeah, they said that I'll be able to share it to the group after. Yeah. So we'll definitely do that. So we got 2 people seeing us, so that's a good thing. That means we're actually live.
We have an audience.
Oh my goodness.
I moved my office, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, I guess we was back here when Phyllis Jean was.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm not quite used to it yet. It's okay, but it's a change for me. And, I had that set up there for a couple of years or better, probably longer.
Right. It was a while.
Yeah.
You got all your stuff in there. You got your guitars.
Yeah. This is my room now.
Yeah. So that's your man cave.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just that we're going to do a little remodeling here at the house, and it was time to get this thing, the desk and computers and stuff out of the front room. So it's my idea.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, she even said, well, you can leave that here. It's fine. But it was time to get the house back in order. Right.
Well, I know. I'm in a little room here in the house, but I was over in the living room for a long time. All the kids would be like, oh my gosh.
I don't like it because I can see what everybody's getting to eat.
I know. You could see everything going on behind me, and I couldn't.
You remember, I know you do, but we used to get on Mary all the time. You got to turn that microwave on again.
Because the microwave would mess up the computer. Like, how?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
We worked through it. It was fun. We did that for a long, long time. It was fun.
Yeah. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So, welcome, everybody. We got 7 people watching now, so that's a good thing.
Well, considering we was kind of lost, I mean, we didn't even know where we was going to land, really. I didn't.
Yeah, late yesterday afternoon, they said, you're going to have to use a regular page or whatever, and I was just, oh my goodness. So
I still don't even know what's going on. I mean, I don't know where this is going to end up at.
Right. Well, right now we're on it's the page where I put your posts and other things for awareness and education about dementia and stuff like that. Just it's the MP awareness page. It's a regular Facebook page, not a group. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then what we'll do is we'll copy this over to there. So. Yeah.
Good idea. Yeah. Good idea. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Rick Phelps. You probably know that if you're here. And if you don't know that, that's what it is. I was diagnosed in 2010 with early onset Alzheimer's / MCI, mild cognitive impairment. Since that time, let's see, that's been about 8 years now, huh? Yeah. It'll be 8 years. And we've been struggling along here. Things are good today. But you have your bad days and good days. Since that time, I wrote a book, and me and Leanne's writing a book now. We're just getting ready to release that baby. I wrote a song, and then, of course, created Memory People, and that's one of my biggest achievements. I mean, just because there's so many people affected by it.
Yeah.
The book, I didn't, here's the thing with that book. I didn't care if anybody bought it. I really didn't. It was something I needed to do, though, for me to have to give to my family. Because this is what it's all about, and I put it in there, and that's what that was for. But it's done well. I mean, we're real pleased at how it's sold and everything. We're happy, But I certainly didn't write it to retire or I'm already retired. But to make money or anything like that. But
right, that wasn't the point.
So other than that, Phyllis Jens, my wife, and everybody, a lot of people knows her. She was on here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we kind of took last week off as Good Friday and holiday. So anyway, who are you?
I'm Leanne. I work with Rick to support the members of Memory People. If anyone's watching this and you don't know what Memory People is, it's a group here on Facebook, and it's for dementia support, whether it's Alzheimer's, you're a caregiver or patient, or you've got a traumatic brain injury, or your loved one does, whatever type of dementia or memory impairment. You can join us there, and you'll find the link on the page here to do that. And we just talk about what we're going through every day. Can't fix anything or whatever, but means a lot to talk to, like what we're doing right here. Just talk to people about stuff. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to touch on something. Do you remember we used to do the Skype support group meetings?
Yes. Yeah.
If people would be interested in that, that might be something we'd take up again. What we did was for different support groups or just different people, it didn't matter, just a group of people. They don't have to be in a support group. But what we did was they would pick a place to go, like a church or a hospital. A lot of times they give you rooms to have a little meeting in. Any place that had Wi-Fi. I mean, it didn't matter where you met at, but then the presenter, whoever that would be, would have to have a laptop. It was internet, of course, and have Skype.
Right.
Conducted these Skype support group meetings, and it wasn't really a meeting, and we just talked like we're doing now, and I answered any and all questions that I could about from a patient's perspective.
Yeah.
And, it really went well. I mean, we did that, I don't even know, a couple years anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did them for people overseas. You remember we did them for people in England and all over the States, and it was just like we're doing now. So if people be interested in that, if they had a group of people, like a support group or something or whatever, want to get together in somebody's house, and you want to have us in for a couple hours.
Yeah, no. Through Skype and the internet, we can do that. And like you said, people ask questions and.
Right. And like I said, the only reason why I'm bringing that up, I remember it went well. I mean, it really, people enjoyed that. They really did. There was a lot of questions asked that people tend to not to ask their family members because they can't or whatever. Doesn't matter the reason.
Yeah.
They asked me just an array of questions, and sometimes I know the answer to them because I go through it, and if I don't, I tell them that. I don't know. I don't go through that. I don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have denial in a family or whatever, then it's going to be difficult to talk about it. Or if your loved one doesn't really want to talk about this a whole lot, then yeah.
And that's understandable. We deal with that in Memory People a lot. There's a lot of family members that somebody along in the family is in denial, or the patient is, or the wife, or the husband, or somebody.
Yeah.
One of those things.
Yeah.
I was blessed to didn't have to deal with that. I dealt with a little bit in my family, my sister maybe, and my cousin, I guess, but not much. I mean, it was pretty obvious things I were forgetting, and it was just, it was pretty hard to say, well, there's nothing wrong with him.
Well, yeah, just accepting that and being able to talk about it. Were they able to talk about it? And,
I think it was rough the first year or so. Nobody knew what to say. And every family member goes through that. But here's the thing. This is what I told them. I haven't changed. I'm the same person I was before this diagnosis. I just am. I forget things. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I can't be responsible for stuff anymore. I just can't. If I tell you I'm going to be somewhere at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, good luck with that.
Right.
And it's just an example.
Yeah.
If I'm supposed to call you, that ain't going to happen. It's just people watching this, they understand what I'm talking about. But when I first started with my family, Phyllis included, she had a hard time with it. I mean, I did too in reality, but I just accepted it.
Right.
I didn't.
Well, what are you going to do? Well, that's exactly it. Like, people don't know what to say or whatever. You don't need to really change any, especially not in the beginning and after somebody's diagnosed. It really hasn't changed anything at that point. It's not like now you got to talk louder, you got to talk slower. That might come later on. But yeah, but it just,
a lot of people don't understand that. I've even talked to people in the times that we did speaking engagements, and I talked to people on memory people that they think for some reason they're afraid to go get a diagnosis, like that's going to change things. They don't change anything. That's just a day in a doctor's office for 15, 20 minutes. That's all that is.
Right.
You're not going to start getting worse because you got a diagnosis. That's. But I understand people. I have it. I understand.
Yeah, I understand. It's that acknowledgement that can be. It's more difficult, I think, to deal with. Sometimes to deal with getting a label put onto what's going on than to just, it's, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'll tell you one of the hardest things that I've learned to deal with, or tried to learn to deal with, and I'm having struggles with it, and it's people, sometimes mostly professionals, but it's anybody that thinks they know about this disease and they don't have a clue.
Yeah.
I mean, but the world is full of people like that in all walks of life. I knew police officers. I mean, just because you put a uniform on doesn't make you a police officer. And that's just like with nurses and doctors and lawyers or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot of people that are absolutely making a whole bunch of money off this dementia thing. And it just makes me sick. Just makes me sick because it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong. These people that charge thousands of dollars for a speaking engagement or a seminar, I mean, you got to make a living, I guess, but I don't know how they sleep at night. I really don't.
Right.
I really don't.
I think it's one thing to have an opinion or to share your experience of what you've gone through, but it's the acknowledgement that each patient is different and each situation is different. And what your opinion is about something isn't necessarily going to be what everybody should do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what I go through. That don't mean your loved one is. Or this is what I do and it works for me. That certainly doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Right.
But these people, they absolutely think they've got the answer to it, and they don't. I can tell you that. And that's the reason why me and the Alzheimer's Association fell out, because they think, or whatever, they've got the answers to all this. They were wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I don't say that. They helped us out. That first year, they just did. But what happened was, and I don't mind saying this, everybody we worked with in the Alzheimer's was very kind to me and us, and we was too. We got along fine. But then what happened was, we went to Washington, D.C. We was invited to Washington, D.C., and they found out that I don't dance for nobody. I just don't. I mean,
read off a script and.
Yeah, I didn't do that before I was diagnosed. I'm not changing anything. When they absolutely, I mean, I couldn't believe it, Leanne. There was a lot more caregivers there, of course, than there was patients.
Right.
But they handed me, along with everybody else, a script that I was supposed to read to these senators and congressmen. I just laughed. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And the one, I forget what they call it, associate or whatever it was working with the Alzheimer's, she said, well, what's the matter, Rick? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to read this. First of all, I can't read. I can't understand what I'm reading. And why would I want to read this? This is what you guys put together. It's not what I go through. These people want to hear a story. They don't, and I'm not touting my own drum here, but I'll guarantee you, every senator, every congressman we talked to, I had their undivided attention.
Yeah.
Undivided attention.
Because you were telling them your story in your words.
Yeah. I wasn't saying, well, I wasn't quoting statistics and figures and all. I don't care about none of that stuff.
Yeah.
I know it's important, but it's not to me.
No, but
me, giving caregivers money. That's why I was there. I want caregiver funding, and I don't want this $100 and some a month for every 2 weeks. I want it to where if my wife has to quit her job, take care of me, she's going to get 80% of her pay.
Yeah. Right.
She's asked.
Right.
That's going to keep me out of a nursing home longer, and it's going to save everybody money in the long run. But of course, it didn't go nowhere. But that's why I was there. But when you don't conform to certain organizations, you're a loose cannon, and they don't want no part of that. They don't know what's going to come out of your mouth, and they don't know what. They just don't know.
Right.
And they was absolutely right, because that's the way I am. I don't. I'm just not. I'm not made that way, and
you didn't seem to. You never did come off as saying that you were an expert in anything except what you're going through as a patient.
I never have. Never.
It seems like it's all too easy for people to do that. I don't know why, it's especially in dementia. For somebody to say that they're a specialist or expert or whatever.
I'll tell you, Leanne, I was absolutely stunned. The day they had the big day, it was the day we marched on Washington. Well, that was a joke. All we were a bunch of lobbyists trying to get money. That's all it was. Yeah. But anyway, they had Kathleen Sebelius, and back then she was secretary of something. She was up in the government. She was like 4th or 5th in line. I forget what she was over, housing and development or something. She was one of the speakers, and they had a couple more, and then they had Newt Gingrich. Of course, he was a keynote speaker, and he was going to announce his run for presidency the next day.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal. But the point I tried to make was, if anybody in that audience thinks Newt Gingrich knows about Alzheimer's, they're kidding themselves.
Right.
This guy's running for president tomorrow. What do you think, he cares for somebody that has Alzheimer's?
I was going to say, doesn't he have a aunt or sister or somebody in his family?
I think it was a sister-in-law, but I don't remember,
But we have so many members join the group over and over. We see it, and they say, I was a nurse in a dementia ward for 20 years, and I've worked with patients and this and that. But now my mom has this.
Yep.
And this is a whole different ballgame now, because it's my loved one that has this. It takes caregiving. You can be a caregiver, you can work with dementia patients, but it's said over and over that until your loved one has it and you're that hands-on caregiver, it takes it to a whole different level.
Well, I can tell you this, I don't remember what Newt Gingrich talked about. I know it was about dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff, but I know he didn't talk about any personal stories he's been through, because he don't have any.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Not a caregiver.
Somebody be the keynote speaker, and he doesn't even know anything about, all he knows is that we need money, and that sounds good. You run for president. Well, I'm going to see that that there's a lot of money spent on research. Well, he never made it, and it doesn't matter if he did. He wouldn't have done that anyway, because they never do it.
I was going to say, we've heard that. We've had the town hall meetings, and everybody goes and talks about what they're going through. And it's like, if the people in Washington don't know yet what we're all going through,
they don't.
I don't know how you're ever going to get,
I don't want to go soapbox here, but I'm telling you, when I was there, I found out, and I knew this, but I found out firsthand, they do not care. These people, the people in memory people, or just people all across the United States, they've got this thing in their head that if they sit down and write their congressman a letter, that's going to do something, and that's a fallacy. It just is. Yeah. I don't burst anybody's balloon, but I was there, and I can tell. You could, when me and you talk, we interact with each other, and we listen.
Right.
People don't listen.
Right. Didn't you say with the day that you guys went to that there was other staffers?
Yeah.
Sitting in or whatever? It was.
I ran into that. I spoke to 3 senators, 2 congressmen, and the rest of them were staffers. And the last staffer, not the last one, but I said, that's it for me, because, and Newt Gingrich, this is what he told me. I hunted him down, and I had a one-on-one with him before he got in his limo, and I said, I'm not very happy. He said, well, what can I do for you, Rick? Jesus. And I'm like, well, dude.
Where do I start?
Yeah, I said, here we are. We're getting ready to go over and talk to these people, and there ain't nobody here. They're not in session. He said, this is what he said. It doesn't matter because the staff knows more than they do anyway. Now, this is what the guy said is getting ready to run for president tomorrow.
Right.
Well, that tells you the issue.
Yeah.
But the ones I did talk to is like talking to a wall. You know, when somebody's listening to you and they're just shaking their head, they're just looking at you and shaking their head. They don't even interact with you at all.
I was going to say, they're not asking questions. They're not, and they have a moment to talk to patients, actual patients and actual caregivers sitting in front of them. And that doesn't stir things up to, you know, and that happens every year, right?
Yeah. And I even asked, I remember asking every one of them before and here's the thing. We was in a group of 5, and I was the only one that talked in any of them. I don't know why. It just worked out like that, but it didn't matter to me. But the thing that really got me was before we left each one of their offices, I looked at them and I said, listen, is there anything you want to ask me?
Yeah.
I'm not asking you anything. I'm just telling you what I want. I want caregiver funding, and I laid out, you know, the way it would work in my mind and things like that. But I said, the only thing you want to ask me as a dementia patient, not one of them asked me the first question about nothing.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Which is okay. But I think I would have had a question or, well, I mean, does it hurt? Or how you doing? Or, I don't know, something.
Exactly. I mean, sure. Like, what is it like? What are you going through? How's your wife dealing with it? I mean, you'd have a million questions.
Well, yeah. Never got one.
Curiosity. Right. How many times have any of them actually talked to a dementia patient that could communicate?
John Governor Kasich, spoke with him, and he didn't have a family member, but he had a very good lifelong friend who's the gentleman had dementia. He had dementia, and it was getting ready to put him in a facility. You could just tell by talking to him. John Kasich is a very religious and very, he gets his feelings hurt a lot. I mean, I don't know how to say that. He's very, I don't know the word.
You mean like dramatic or something, or
just, I can't think of the word.
sensitive?
Anyway, sensitive. Yeah. When he talks about this gentleman that he knows, you can tell it just tears him up.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
It just kills him.
Really touched him. Yeah.
He's going through this, you know.
Yeah.
And, when you talk to somebody like that, you can make a difference.
Yeah, they get it.
Right. He gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a governor. He still is. And, I mean, governors can't do a whole lot. I mean, they've got a budget. And the people you need to talk to is the Congress. They're the ones that write the checks, not governors.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the way it goes. But
yeah. Well, we have 17 people watching, so that's good.
Oh, we do?
Yeah. And what's that?
You have a question?
I was just going to say, everybody that's watching, don't be afraid there's a comment box.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to make comments and ask questions and stuff like that, because we're just talking about all kinds of stuff today.
Let me make this announcement or whatever it's called. That little tirade I just had about Washington, D.C. and you know, I'm not that way. I'm a really easygoing guy. I really am. But this is serious stuff.
Right.
Serious stuff. And I just couldn't believe it. I was in a conference room with probably 300 people, and none of the speakers had dementia. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So then they opened it up to anybody who wanted to ask a question. Well, they shouldn't have done that, because
what was this for? What was if this was a meeting for all the advocates that have gone?
All the advocates and caregivers and patients. Okay. And it was the grand poobah before we went over to Washington, D.C. and talked to him. And what it was, they was having a round table or something. I don't know even what they called it, but then they
see.
asked the audience to interact. And generally, when you do that, you don't get very many people because people are, they don't want to do that. Well, I'll never see anybody there again, and it don't matter to me. And I told them, I just cannot believe that there's no dementia patient sitting on that stage. I just couldn't believe it.
Right, it's everybody talking about dementia except somebody who actually got it. Right. Well, and you're relaying what you've been through and what you've seen, and I think that that's very important information. It's very easy to just kind of sit back and say, well, this is what we do every year, and this, and all of that.
Here's what I think.
But it's good to see the reality.
If you're going to school to be an auto mechanic and you go to a seminar and there's 4 people on the stage and you ask them a question, they say, well, I don't know. I've never been a mechanic in my life. That's just like this was,
Yeah.
You got 4 important people. I'm not saying they're not important. They are. But they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's so dangerous, Don't have me sitting up there, but at least have somebody that's got dementia sitting up there telling the people in the audience what it is like.
And it's not a matter of there's no patients that because there's many other people.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about this and share what they're going through. And I've actually seen, we've brought it up before, like the virtual dementia tour.
Right.
People that don't have dementia saying this is just what having dementia is. It's a good example of it. And right. I've seen patients saying, it really isn't. You've said it really isn't. And people still say, but it's still a good, useful tool. Well, no. that doesn't add up. You have a patient saying, I don't have numbness in my hands or neuropathy in my feet or glaucoma in my eyes. This is not what I'm experiencing.
Right.
So
we've talked about this before. The lady that came up with that, I think she's in Ohio, matter of fact. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, I know she's probably a good person. She's thinking she's doing a good, wonderful thing.
Right.
It just missed the mark. It's not what people says it is. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know any dementia patient. I talked to a bunch of them that some of them never even heard of the virtual dementia tour, so it's hard to, but the ones that have heard of it, I'm like, I don't know. I've never walked around a day in my life since I've been diagnosed and feel like I got something blaring in my ears.
Right. Yeah. Every patient that I've heard from has said the same thing. I don't have these symptoms. It's really symptoms of old age. I pointed that out one time.
Exactly.
Those are really symptoms of old age. But it's difficult for people to let go of, because I think you want to every caregiver and person who gives care to a dementia patient, they want to be able to have a better understanding of what they're going through. Right.
Yeah.
That's just not possible. Mm-hmm. It's not possible to understand exactly what a cancer patient feels like either.
No. I try to explain. I don't understand it, what I'm going through. I really don't. I try to explain it the best I can.
Yeah.
But there's no way to explain this nightmare that you live every day. You just can't. You just know.
Trying to explain why you do what you do. Right. But yet you have other people saying, well, your loved one is, they're doing what they're doing because of this. When right. You can't even, you're not even, you just do stuff and you don't know why.
And here's the people. Me as a dementia patient, I tell people all the time, I don't know why they do what they do. I don't. I don't have any idea. I don't know why I do some of the things I do. I don't understand it because it's a brain disease. I'm not supposed to understand it.
Yeah.
We got neurologists that don't understand it.
Right.
But one thing, the people that's telling you that they know, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't even have dementia. So how could they possibly know?
Right. It can get dangerous.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing. And, I don't downgrade anybody. I don't care if they've got a bunch of titles or if they don't have any at all. As far as education don't mean nothing to me. What means to me, let me tell you this. I was at a seminar one time and they was pushing fish oil.
Oh.
And this guy, he just walked by our table and sat down. And he started telling us, oh, this fish oil is the best thing, yada, 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 and all this stuff. And I said, because he said, and I even said, well, you're in the medical profession. He said, yeah, I'm a doctor. And I'm like, so you're a firm believer that fish oil slows the progression of dementia, Alzheimer's? He said, absolutely. I said, really? Now, it wasn't a time or place for me to get in a discussion with him about that. He just didn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Right. So I did a little digging, and he lied, and he said he was a doctor. He wasn't a doctor, he's a dentist. There's a big difference between a dentist and a doctor.
Yeah, right.
And the second thing he lied about, he was a salesman for fish oil. He was at a seminar pushing his products, which is okay. I understand that. But let's be upfront about it.
Right.
Fish oil is not going to slow the progression of dementia. It's just not. People will tell you that. They're telling you that for a reason. They either don't know what they're talking about, or there's a reason monetarily they're telling you that for a reason.
Yeah, like they're selling something or whatever. Right. Yeah.
Right.
You've said it before a lot. We have on MP many, many times. It is big business. People are selling all kinds of stuff. And
that's why we don't allow it, because we don't have the time or the inclination to check out everything everybody's selling. They might be selling something that's a wonderful product, but that's not why we're here.
Right.
We're not here to eat products.
Exactly. Well, lately we've had CBD oil, and people say it seems to have helped and they can't tell, and they tried it and didn't do anything, and the whole thing. And the problem is, well, one of the problems is it's not even legal in all in all 50 states. There's different formulations, and it's just a.
I remember we used to have people when we first started out. We had 200 or 300 people, or maybe 500, 600, or whatever. No matter. But once you reach a certain amount of people, I think I don't know what it was. Nobody knows the exact number. I think it was around 5,000 though. Yeah. But once you reach a certain plateau on Facebook, people seek you out because they see dollar signs. There's 5,000 people, and maybe 200 of them will buy what I have.
Right.
Now we've got almost 19,000 people, and we're just targets for stuff. I mean, not only us, anybody that has a large group of people on their Facebook page.
Right.
And responsible people like us and the admins, we don't allow that. We don't allow it.
No, if we did, then the things that we need to talk about, it's not going to get talked about. Right. You'd have people making posts, and maybe their loved one is aggressive or whatever.
Now,
on the page.
That's right. That's right. I have talked about certain things, the Nest camera and certain smart light bulbs and stuff like that. But not only did I start this page, but I'm a purveyor of it, and I'm not going to mention anything that's going to do anybody any harm or doesn't work.
Right.
I've got these Nest cameras in our home, and they work excellent. They're 100%. They're foolproof.
Yeah.
The only reason why I mention them, they don't pay me to mention them. They don't even know me.
Right.
I mention them because they're not cheap. They're expensive. They're $100 a piece, but that's what you pay. I mean, you get something for $49 or $30 or something. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
These are like $199, I think. But when I mention something on Memory People, an item, I know there's no question about the reputation of this. And it absolutely works.
Yeah.
You just don't know that with everybody posting about everything. And
we always tell people there's your own page to post, and there's lots of other groups to get information about all of that other stuff. Yeah. So
we went through that many, many times over the past few years about people wanting, I've got this. I bet I get 3-4 messages a week.
Yeah.
People I don't know, but wanting to know if they can share their product. And all it is dollar signs. I know that. I understand that. But I understand people, American people, don't have any money. I understand that more than I understand them trying to sell something to them.
Sure. Somebody in a caregiving situation and like that, Phyllis June needs to stay home one day. Well, that translates into a whole can of worms for you guys.
Sure
And
does.
there's a lot of people going through that. You know, they got to quit their job.
They don't know. I mean, they don't live payday to payday. They live Medicare check or retirement or disability check to disability check. And I guarantee you it's about a third of what I made. I'm thankful for it, but it's not going to make you rich. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we're not going to put things in, have people selling stuff on the page and stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm talking about that, but this is an old skate. We can talk about anything we want to talk about. Do I have any questions?
Yeah. We don't have any questions yet. We've got several people watching, so if anybody has a question or comment or wants to talk about whatever, yeah.
Well, I know you mentioned about hallucinations, that we was going to mention about them, and I can tell you, or I can tell people listening, that I don't deal with that as a patient. I've never had a hallucination. I don't have a hard time explaining about hallucination because I don't have them.
Yeah.
I know a whole lot of people that does, but I'm knock on wood. I mean, they could start today or tomorrow. I mean, I don't know, but I've never. Yeah. Now I have a whole lot of problem with nightmares. Maybe some people don't have hardly any problems with nightmares. That's just how this disease goes.
Yeah.
I have a whole lot of problem with nightmares and sleepless nights, and I've dealt with that for a long, long time. But I can tell you this. We've had people comment on memory people about hallucinations and things like that. And I've always said, and everybody knows this, I'm not a genius, that the people that are going through this and see that this is real to them. I mean, it may be the most absurd thing you've ever heard of or seen, but to them, it's real as rain. It just is.
Yeah.
Because they have a brain disease and they don't have the ability to know right from wrong, if you want to say that, or reality from not reality.
Well, and isn't there's medication that can help if that's happening? Yeah. So it's good to check with your doctor. I know we see a lot on memory people too about delusions, people thinking that something is happened or is a certain way, and that's not the case.
A lot of patients, I remember somebody, I can't remember your mom or somebody, that thought that somebody was going to kill him.
Oh yeah, my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the tip off to the whole thing. She was delusional. She had delusions about my dad, and she thought he was fooling around. It was, and she just thought, that she told me that, she told my brother that, and that was, we could,
right.
Wait a second. Yeah.
Mom would never go down that road, let alone even think about it. Now she's calling your brother saying, well, he's doing this.
Right. I mean, it's that conversation where you're talking to your mom and you say, okay, and you hang up and you just can't even believe what you just heard.
Right.
Yeah. There's not even a response.
That's an eye-opener. And I'm laughing, I'm not laughing at that, of course, but it's, there's always, every time I hear a story, no matter how many times I hear it, there's always something like that. Somebody says, there's a light bulb that went off.
Oh, yeah. Right.
It could be a lot later for some people or whatever. It could be a small thing, but there's always that, wait a minute here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then you piece things together and you look back and you really, well, now we know why she was doing this or he was doing that.
That's very much the case. Yeah. With my mother-in-law, my mom had vascular dementia. My mother-in-law had Alzheimer's. And by the time my mother-in-law got to where, we really could say there's something really not right, then you could look back even years and just kind of say, oh, that explains that then. Just at the time, things were real slow going and we just didn't put anything together for a while.
Well, everybody does, Leanne. You're never alone when you think that. You sometimes I've even heard families say, I don't know how I could be so stupid. Well, it has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with it. I mean, this generally affects people that are older. I mean, I was 57, but, I did some really crazy things, but a lot of people thought, well, he's crazy anyway. It's the reason why he's doing that stuff. He don't, whatever.
Well, your doctor thought you were stressed.
Right.
There's all different kinds of, my mother-in-law stopped doing things, and we thought she's just tired of doing that stuff. I mean, maybe she just doesn't want to do blankets. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, physically and you don't see anything wrong with them. They're not complaining they don't feel good or that they're sick.
I remember I talked one time, or we was talking, or something about memory people was posted in there about, I was saying about sometimes I just have to get away from the commotion, and I take myself out of that. I go to another room, or I just whatever. And that was a big light bulb moment for you, because your mom, was it your mom or Louis?
My mother-in-law, yeah. Yeah, we had all the family over, and I noticed she was kind of sitting over on the other side of the room, which was, extremely strange,
Yeah,
But then you shared in the group that any more than two people, you and Phyllis or whatever, you put another one or two people in the mix. It's very, very difficult. Well, and she wasn't, she wasn't going to say in the middle of the living room, I'm having a hard time. Nobody would do that. But after you shared that, I thought maybe she's having a difficult time with all of it, because, there's lots of little kids, and, a big family get together is a lot.
I do that to this day. I mean, we just went through Easter. We have everything down at Tia's house now. We have for a couple of years because of this situation with me. When we get people here at the house, I ain't got nowhere to go. I can go back in the bedroom, but I can still hear, so we usually go down to Tia's house, and then, I don't make a big production out of nothing. If things are bothering me and the kids are loud, I just walk outside. Everybody knows, and it's not a big deal. I'm not mad at anybody. It's just I need to get away. And if that doesn't work, Phyllis knows, well, we need to go.
Right.
Sorry. And now that's only happened a couple of times. And then maybe one or two times I didn't go because I knew I wasn't feeling, I just couldn't do it. It was Christmas, I think, was one time. And then I don't know the other time, but now.
I see. Okay.
Leanne?
What?
Something I said?
Does it look normal now? Because now our pictures are back.
I couldn't even hear you. Was you still there?
Yes, I was still here. I could hear you and see you.
Yeah.
I know. I heard you start talking about your eye. Oh my goodness.
What'd you do?
Experience. I know. I didn't do a thing. I did not touch a thing. All of a sudden the screen went black. I'm sure everybody's like, well, okay, I guess they're done mid-sentence.
It showed me in the big picture like you are now, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to do this, I guess. So I talked about
it looked like I had left. And
I thought I just checked out. I thought, well, I'd talk about my droopy eye.
Oh my gosh.
Because I couldn't see if anybody posed a question or anything.
Yeah, no, nobody has. I mean, and there's 13 people watching, and if anybody wants to say anything or whatever, please do. People are usually always commenting, so that's fine.
I had no idea what we was talking about.
We're talking about hallucinations, and I was going to say too that delusions. Yeah, we were talking about that too. People share quite often in memory people how, like my loved one is accusing me that I've stolen their money or whatever. That's a delusion. That's not reality. That's a delusion. We have it
all the time. We get it all the time.
Yeah, and I always just encourage people. The thing is the truth. And I know things somebody can get really agitated because it's real to a patient. Somebody stole my money, or somebody took my jewelry, or you never take me anywhere, or whatever the thing is.
Medication or whatever.
Exactly. And that's all delusional thinking because it's not based on reality.
Right.
And we had a little bit of that, and I just had to kind of learn to and work on saying, I know what the reality is, and I can just kind of let those accusations go. Now, of course, if your loved one is, I think, really agitated or whatever, again, there's medication that can help with that.
Yeah, you've got to take some steps to because it's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
I notice on memory people, when this first happens to someone, they just about lose their mind. They're like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, like
first thing I tell them is, "Take a breath, just settle down. It's going to be okay." But they've never been through something like this.
Right. You ever had your mom accusing you of or say
make a pass at you or something?
Oh yeah, right. Right.
It's got to upset anybody. I understand that, but it's let's just calm everything down. It's going to be okay, and this could happen again tomorrow or whatever.
Exactly, and the reality is that may be their thinking or whatever, but or they say, "Gosh, you never take me anywhere," and that you go and pick up mom 3 or 4 times a week and take her shopping.
Or they won't,
you never take her anywhere.
Or they won't go anywhere with you anyway. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
They know.
That to me is delusional thinking because it's not based in reality.
Right.
And honestly, it doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah.
It's hard to deal with, especially starting out in this new, and you get hit with something like that. They tell somebody, they get on the phone, or they tell somebody at the house, "Well, they're going to beat me or something."
Right. Then it can get very serious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But if you know about dementia, if you know about these things, you know that that's going to happen. Now, I have seen it get to the place where people's called adult protective services.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that because you want to make sure there's nothing going on. I mean, you just do. But most stuff, it's a good way to sum this up is when you go to a nursing home to visit your loved one, and they can tell you anything.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't had a bath in 3 months.
Right.
They won't let me take a bath. I want to, but they won't allow it. I mean, or whatever. Well, common sense tells you that that's not true.
Right.
But to them, true as hell. I mean, it's right.
My mom would tell me, my dad was trying to poison her. She would do things based on her delusions. She would go gather up all the phones in the house and take them into the bedroom and lock the door because she was convinced that people were out to get her, that they were trying to, all kinds of stuff.
But you got to think, man, and I know you guys did this, but you got to think, how horrible would that be? How horrible to live a life that you think someone, she may not even know it was her husband, but someone is in this house just trying to kill me.
Just trying to
believe it.
And she is convinced of it.
Yeah.
I mean, as much hurt as everybody went through, to put yourself in her shoes, to feel like,
And this is why I've said a lot of times, and this is not every case, of course, because everything's different. But a lot of times you get this wondering because of situations like that.
Yeah.
The patient is afraid. They don't know what's going on, and all they know is they want to get out of there and get somewhere safe, not knowing that where they're at is safe.
Exactly.
They realize that. They don't have the ability to know that. So they're going to get out of there, and they're going to get somewhere they don't know about.
My mom tried to. She tried to leave the house a lot. And one time I called and my dad answered the phone. And I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I'm blocking the door so your mom can't get out of the house."
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. It leads to all kinds of things.
Put yourself in your mom's shoes. Could you blame her? I mean, if you think someone's in the house going to kill you, can you blame her for trying to get out? I mean, that's exactly what you would do.
Right. She was with it enough to know that there was something wrong with her. But in her mind, she thought everybody was trying to put her in the funny farm, the crazy place.
Right.
They're trying to help her, and that is not how her mind was able to see things at all. So her delusion was, they are trying to knock me off. They're trying to get me committed.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of that. I mean, and it's a serious problem. It really is. You think somebody...
Yeah, but at least things like that. When I say, and I have said before in the group, and I never want anybody to think that, it's just as easy as, don't worry about that. But, with my mother-in-law, sometimes things would get said and they could be really hurtful. And I had to just realize, and I had to remind myself, these are just words. Whether she's thinking, mistaking something or saying I did something I didn't or whatever it is. I just have to remind myself she's not able to comprehend this,
Hey, Phil, Jane she just messaged me, and she says Lynn wants to know if you and Leanne can see us chatting over the chat box. Can you see the chat box? Maybe that's why you're not seeing any questions.
Yeah, on the Be Live thing, I don't see any at all. Let me try to go to the page, because the last time we were at the page.
She said the questions being posted, and we're not answering them.
Okay, so we're not experts.
That's our monitor for you, folks.
Oh, wow. Yes, I see that now.
Okay, good.
I see. All right, let me see. Denise said we all went away. And Teresa said, okay, here. Okay, what I see, guys, tell me if, okay, so I'm going to look at I'm going to look at you, but I'm also going to look over here at the Facebook page.
Well, probably start to talk because we might miss several.
Well, all I see is 4 comments, so please, guys, tell me if there's something I'm not seeing. Okay, so, and Denise, when Rick saw that, I saw your message to me. I had not seen it before, so thank you for doing that too. Denise said down here, my husband had hallucinations and I called his doctor. For us, it was as easy as changing meds. Certain things people can't tolerate. Yeah, for some reason, I'm not getting these comments like we normally should in the box here. It's only on Facebook.
It's okay. It's just, Phyllis texted me, and she texted me twice, and she knew he was doing a show today, and I'm thinking she wouldn't be texting me. Something's going on. Here it is. She said there's comments being made in the chat, and you guys aren't seeing them. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Denise just messaged me and said, I don't think you're seeing the comments in the chat box. I don't know how to, yeah. I'm so glad somebody waved the white flag, because I thought, oh no, nobody's talking to us.
Well, it's a new format.
I talk to people. What's that?
It's a new, this is, they're having problems with this program to do it.
And somebody, please, all I see is 4 comments. And if that's the way, that's what it is, then that's perfectly fine. I want to make sure we're not missing them.
Right.
So, yeah. So anyways, what Denise said was, my husband had hallucinations and I called his doctor. For us, it was as easy as changing meds. Certain things people can't tolerate. So, yeah.
And most of the time it is that easy. It's sometimes it's difficult getting the right medication, the right dose, and things like that. It's a hit and miss thing. But, medication is a wonderful thing.
Right.
Maybe that's why I don't have hallucinations. I thought about that before, because I'm on a whole slew of medications, and none of it's for hallucinations, but a lot of it's for depression and anxiety, and the list goes on. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't have them.
Yeah, you never know. Or maybe you will later, maybe you won't. Everybody's so different. Right.
I figure I will, because you generally, that's the thing with this disease. When somebody posts on Memory People, and I try to make a mental note of it, I'm like, well, that ain't happened to me yet, has it? Because,
Right.
Not everybody, not everything happens to everybody, of course. But, I know when I lost my ability to read 2 or 3 years ago, or probably 5 years ago, I don't know, I didn't know how I was going to carry on. We've all been able to read since the 1st or 2nd grade.
I can't imagine how unsettling that would be. That is something, that's like a pillar of your life, a foundation of your life, being able to read. Like, almost, it's like, what is it, losing your eyesight or losing the use of your left hand or whatever,
Right.
And you can no longer read.
Disability on top of a disability is what it is.
Oh my goodness, all the comments just popped up in the box.
Oh my goodness.
There's 47 comments. I am so sorry, you guys. I didn't mean to cut you off. All of a sudden, the box popped up, and there's all the comments. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Well, good. You can read some of them, and I'll just sit here and just listen.
Maybe we should let everybody else participate too. Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, so down here where we started, oh my goodness, this is just ridiculous. Let's see here.
Oh, I see one. My aunt, Michael, my aunt had hallucinations. You need to play along with them because it's real. Phyllis June said, "You are welcome, Denise." Thank you, Phyllis June. I don't know what that's all about. But.
Okay, so Diana Miller asked down here, Rick, what are you diagnosed with? So why don't we start there?
She said I was going to call you, but you wouldn't have answered. Yeah. What's that now?
Diana asked like an hour ago.
She's probably not even here.
Jeez.
Nobody cares. I just left.
The whole box was blank till 2 seconds ago, and now I can't even believe it. Anyways, Diana said, Rick, what are you diagnosed with?
Oh, okay. I was diagnosed in 2010 with early onset Alzheimer's / mild cognitive impairment. So it's a form of Alzheimer's, obviously. Early onset, and they did that because of my age, is what I found out.
Yeah.
I graduate this year.
Yeah, you're right. It's a big year. Okay. Okay, up here, Teresa said, we are great in our numbers. What do we need to do as a group to keep on their butts to get something done? Where,
in Washington, you mean? Or
I think that, yeah, we're talking about Washington getting, I mean, you people are beating the steps over there every year, right? The whole advocacy forum that goes on every single year. And can we look at what is being done, what's coming out of that, or what's coming out of the petitions or whatever?
It's like a feel-good thing. Everybody wants to think that doing your part, you're doing your part, which is okay. I'm not Debbie Downer here. All I'm saying is I was there, and I'm telling you, they're politicians.
Yeah.
They don't care. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Right.
Now, it wasn't an election year. Now, if you talk to somebody election year, they're going to tell you what you want to hear because they want your vote.
Right.
Anything's going to get done.
Yeah.
I remember when Obama appropriated something like $10 or $15 million for Alzheimer's research, where everybody just thought that's the best thing since sliced bread. Well, it didn't mean nothing.
Right.
Appropriated, that just means he's asking Congress for the money, and they said no. So to answer her question, Dennis, I know there is in numbers, you can get things done, but I'm telling you, unless
go ahead, because you're going to see what I was about to say.
This sounds cruel, but unless there's just not enough people dying, that's what it falls down to. If there was more people dying, up to about 10 years ago, they didn't even recognize Alzheimer's on the death certificate.
Right. Exactly. They weren't even putting it. So if you think about that, and you've explained it, but if you think about that, then they don't even have an actual accounting of people that have passed away from Alzheimer's. They don't even have a true number for that.
I've been beating that drum forever, too. Everybody throws these statistics out there, and they don't mean anything.
And before you get that number, you have to get the diagnosis number. And how many people go to their doctor and they're not given the diagnosis of Alzheimer's, or they don't even go to their doctor?
Yeah. Just like I tell everybody that asks, and it's truthful on my part, nobody in my family, my mom's side or my dad's side, had dementia of any kind.
Yeah.
Now, that and 50 cents gets you a cup of coffee, because my great-great-grandfather could have died of Alzheimer's, and who would know?
Right.
I mean, it was hardening the arteries back then or whatever. He was just senile or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's until about 10 years ago. I mean, I could be way off, but I think till about 10 years ago, the statistics are just skewed. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people that dies from.
Is that your dog?
Yeah, symptoms of dementia that wasn't even noticed until about 10 years ago.
They're not outside, are they?
Oh, we got.
Oh.
no.
Okay.
That's the neighbor lady walking her 2 dogs.
Yeah.
So we're all good.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm glad we got some comments, Leanne. Isn't this more fun?
I'm so excited. I thought nobody wants to talk to us. Yeah, Denise said down here, I remember running out to get coconut oil and giving it to my poor husband early when it came out. I believed he would be cured. That poor man ate tablespoons of it. Gladly, MP taught me it was not going to help a thing.
Well, I don't think we ever said that. I think what we always try to say is, coconut oil is good for certain things, but in moderation, but it certainly isn't going to cure Alzheimer's or slow the progression of dementia in any way.
But that's what people are told.
Yeah.
And they're told that, what I've seen anyways, is that the recommended amount is like 7 tablespoons a day or some unseemly amount of ingesting this stuff.
And you die of cholesterol.
Right. And there's actually been cases of that, people having problems because they took in so much coconut oil.
And that's what it is. It's oil, fat. What do you think it's going to do in your arteries? I mean, good Lord. But somebody somewhere had to come up with this. Well, coconut oil slows the progression or even cures it. And that's just, it's too bad.
Yeah, I'm reading through the comments. I'm listening to you.
I remember telling people if that was true, you couldn't go to Walmart and buy a jar for $5. It'd be like $6,000 an ounce.
Right. Well, that's exactly it. Right. Deborah said here, my mom suffers from hallucinations and delusions. Luckily, not aggression yet. What can I do to help? So, to me, what I did was, because they never got my mom-in-law overly agitated or whatever, we just went along with it. Because it didn't matter. If it was a hallucination, she thinks something's there. Sometimes she'd be reaching for something and is she having a hallucination? We just didn't make a deal out of it. Or with my own mom, if she was having a delusion about something, I went along. Like, you go along with it as long as everybody can stay safe.
Right.
And unless somebody's really agitated, then maybe take a look at medication or whatever.
Right. I've often thought, I've never been in this situation, but if you're living with somebody and you're having the hallucination that they're trying to kill you, it might make sense to get that person out of the equation for a day or two or a couple hours or whatever. That might help. It seems to me it would. Now, obviously, you're going to have somebody else there, and then who knows what will happen then. But I can't even fathom of me thinking that Phyllis June is concocting some way to kill me and believing it. I can't fathom that, but it very well happened.
It happened, right?
Yeah. How traumatic would that be on me and her?
Right. That's where, I tried to separate the disease from my mom. Yeah. Because if I didn't, then what she says or what she's doing, then it's like, how can she do this to me? And I had to just, in my mind, say the disease is doing this, the disease is saying this, not her.
Yeah, we've said that for many, many years. It's always the disease, and people get tired of hearing that, but I don't know what else to tell you, man. You gotta remember that, You want to know why your husband's, being agitated or even verbally or physically abusive? Well, it's a disease.
They have a diseased mind. We've talked about it so many times too. It's the same way of saying, if someone has a couple of broken legs, and expecting that they should be able to do this or do that.
Right.
Well, they won't be able to. Their legs are broken.
That's it.
And expecting that your loved one should be able to remember things or treat you a certain way or whatever is can get an unrealistic expectation because their mind is not working right.
Deal with reality, just in general. What they're going through is not reality. What I go through isn't reality. It's just not. Now, that doesn't mean I live in a a bubble and I don't know what's going on, but I say this all. I tell everybody this. I have to trust everybody for everything now because I just do. My wife tells me a lot of things that I got to do, and it never stops.
Well,
Because I
don't you trust her to tell you what you need to know and leave out the stuff you don't need to know?
I can't see. It's hard for me to distinguish that. So I just trust her 100% with everything. She has. I mean, I can't imagine any dementia patient taking care of the medication. I mean, how screwed up would that be?
Right.
She does that, and she's done it ever since day one, or forever.
Yeah.
Now, I want to tell you something. If something ever happens to her, I'm going to be in a boatload of trouble with my medication. Now, that might sound selfish, but it's stuff I think about.
Right.
I mean, I'm a realist. I know we've been together for a long time, but I also know I'm 65 years old, and somebody's going to die here shortly. I'm either going to die or she's going. I mean, it's just the luck of the draw. We're getting up in age. Now, we both could live to be 85 or 90. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I'm saying, when you live in the life that I do, you worry about things like that because I don't know what I'm going to do without. I mean, it's normal to not want your spouse to die. Nobody wants that. I mean, your kids and all that. That's normal. This takes that to another degree.
Yeah.
Because things I can't do now, I won't be able to do when she's gone. I don't have the foggiest idea who we owe.
Right.
I don't have any idea.
Well, and see that it's that kind of stuff that I would assume, I know that we did with Lewis's mom, and my mom. They can't process everything. You don't need to tell them everything. They can't remember it anyway. So there's no,
That's with me. I mean, I might say something about something. She'll say, well, you don't owe them any money, or we don't, or whatever,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what she tells me because I won't remember it. So,
Right. Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't sit around and worry about her passing away, and I don't worry about me having to take care. It isn't something, but it is something that, if I said I didn't think about it, I'd be lying because I do. I'm worried about the time when she won't be here, and Tia will be there for me. I understand all that, but
that's what I was going to say.
Oh yeah, she'll be here. It won't be an issue. It just won't.
But the whole thing then, even for you to know Tia will be there, Tia and Brian, and whatever they'll pick up, that's good to know and that's reassuring. But the thing is that's not going to be like it is now with Phyllis there. There's no.
No, it won't be. And the thing of it is, nobody, I don't care if it's your kids or who it is, nobody can take care of you like a spouse does. It just, she lives with me, for God's sakes. Tia's not going to live with me. She's not going to, what are you going to do? I'm going to move in with them? That ain't going to happen.
Right.
And no one will ever be taken care of the way a husband and wife take care of each other because they're just together.
Well, and see, it's different. Like I could sometimes it crosses through my mind, what if, Lewis gets in a wreck, would I know what to do? Would I, and, the answer to too many things is no. But that's different for me because it gets back to trying to tell a dementia patient, don't worry about that. You don't need to stress about that. It just doesn't work that way.
No, I'll give you for example how well we know each other, and people who've been married 2, 4, 5 years might do this, but she'll call and say, "I want to bring something home to eat." I'm like, "Okay, it don't matter to me," because she knows. I don't care what she brings home. I'm going to eat it because she doesn't bring me home something I won't eat.
Right.
So that's what I mean by trust. I don't have to worry about anything. I really don't.
Yeah.
And that is an ease off your mind.
Yeah.
Now, when that trust isn't there no more someday, then.
Well, when things are different, you'll be able to trust Tia.
Oh, sure.
And do what needs to be done.
Oh, I hope I don't sound like I'm diminishing her role because that would.
No, not at all.
That isn't my. That isn't.
It's no statement on her. What I think you're trying to just say is that is a concern and a worry for you that even knowing that, I mean, because you don't have any doubt in Tia and her ability to take care of you whatsoever. Yeah.
Here's what I try to get through when I talk about stuff like this. And I think this all the time about certain things. If I'm thinking about it, or if I'm, there's got to be other people thinking about it and worrying about it. I mean, I'm just not the one just got dementia. Something happens to my wife. I mean, it can't be the only one that thinks like that.
Sure, and they just may not be talking about it, or their caregiver may not be talking about it.
Right.
A conversation that, I mean,
one of the most reassuring things for me to do, and I know I do it more than I should, but to sit around with my wife and just ask her what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And her, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It is. I don't want to sound boo-hooing about, but you worry about it. I mean, you're human. You worry about stuff like that. I know. Yeah. And I don't want it to sound like that's all I worry about. Something's going to happen to Phyllis Jr. What happened to something to me? Well, something is going to happen to me. I mean, I'm terminal. We've got that taken care of, though. We've got everything in order that we need to get in order that we could possibly do.
But you do it the other way, too. If something happens to Phyllis, you have your plans in place. And
The only thing we don't have in place is who's going to be here to take care of me. And I don't mean to be taking tea out of the equation at all, but it won't be the same.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
maybe that's a conversation that you do need to have.
Well, I don't because I don't want Tia to feel that I feel that she can't do something, and that's not it at all. I won't have to worry about nothing.
No, but I mean, just the plan. What is the plan? Tia leaves work and comes to, how does that work?
No, she won't have to do that. What a person worries about is, without getting too personal, I don't do anything money-wise, Ann. I really don't. I got a little job and I get a couple $300 every, whatever. But money is not a thing for me. First thing's going to happen if something happens to Phyllis Jean, they're going to shut her water off. I can guarantee you that. And that sounds crazy, but that's good. I'll never pay a water bill because I know we get that once every 3 months or 2 months or something. And Phyllis Jean has to drive over there and drop it off. That doesn't happen. Ever.
Yeah.
And that sounds crazy, but that's just one little thing I can think of top of my head.
Right, exactly. No, I know.
I don't make light of anything. I'm just saying that and about 10,000 other things that I could recite,
Right.
What happens.
Exactly, that you're concerned about and pops in your mind. And you can't stop that from happening.
No, and it's a good thing for caregivers to reassure their loved ones that it's going to be okay. And my wife does that with me all the time. And it's good. I'm glad she does it. But I'm afraid some people don't do that because they don't talk about this stuff.
My goodness. I would venture to say more than not, don't talk about this. It reminded me of am I missing any comments here? Because I just saw Phyllis June. She's talking about help for caregivers too. I think you touched on that.
I've gone on a limb and say you have.
Well, I've got the box now. It says the last comment was at 11:32, and I'm thinking that was 20 minutes ago.
Phyllis June commented?
Well, Phyllis June said here once a month, and I could mail the water bill, and I could mail it, but I am all about not wasting money, so that's why she takes it down there.
Here's something else for me to worry about, Leanne. What if they fire her for watching this video instead of doing her job?
There we go. We'll add that to the list. Oh my goodness.
No, but I hope everybody understood what I was getting at about.
Absolutely. I was going to say.
Know that things are going to be okay. And people tell them that all the time, but there are a certain amount of people, or there are certain couples or whatever, that they don't have this conversation ever about anything.
Right.
And it's
not an easy conversation, but
no, it's not.
Do it. Yeah. we've got plans to go in and see a lawyer here before, too long, and with our will, and just get
right.
everything all straightened out. That I was just gonna. I saw your comment. Look, a few comments above. We're having a problem here because new comments are not showing up now again, and I can only see 4 comments on Facebook. But anyways, there was a post a member made on MP just yesterday or the day before, and I'm not going to say her name, but she was just talking about her husband. It really, really touched me because her husband has dementia, and he talks about, the gate and having to walk on and her not being able to go with him. And just the way that she was able to talk with him about that and draw it out, and it was just amazing. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was. That's about as much of a conversation about this that I have ever heard, and her being able to assure him over and over, I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to walk with you to the gate, and the whole thing was just incredible. Yeah.
Well, I should have mentioned that to you. See, I worry about that, me passing away before. I mean, when you get our age, you have this thing happen to it like us. I mean, if you don't think about and worry about stuff like that, there's something matter with you. You better get things in order, because it's just like, I remember a few years ago, we always talked to you about, getting things ready, and everybody should have a plan, have another plan. And then one day they set you guys down and said, well, it's going to cost about $6,000 a month. You about fell off your chair.
Right.
You're never prepared until somebody tells you that. That's one of the realities of this disease, that if and when it comes to placement and you got to replace someone, somebody has got to foot the bill. Yeah. Private pay, or if it's going to be
more costly than you ever could have possibly imagined.
Right. I'm going to. Phyllis, you need to type this out instead of texting me.
Well, Phyllis said, look, a few comments above. I cannot scroll here in the group.
Neither of us want to be a burden to anyone.
What's that?
Neither of us want to be a burden to anyone. And that's the truth. That's probably 90% of the people, or maybe 100% of the people. You really don't want to be a burden to anyone.
Right. That's us with our kids. That's my thing right now, is I don't want to leave anything undone or unsigned or unplanned or anything. Because that can interfere with sibling relationships and with the family after you're gone. And I think I would roll over my grave if I neglected to get something done that caused tension and problems for my children.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, here's the reality. I'm glad we're talking about this, but here's the reality. If God forbid something happened to you two together, I mean, somebody's going to be at the funeral home picking out caskets.
Right.
That's what I think about. You don't never want your kids picking out your casket.
Oh my gosh. No, we need to. I mean, and that's huge, always been on my mind. When Lewis and I are just off anywhere, even driving around town here together, what if, something happens to the both of us?
Well, driving around about a month ago and a bridge collapsed, and I was scared to death. You was under. Remember, I called you about 10 times.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Killed a couple families or something. I mean, just
killed a family and their young baby. Just instantaneous.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's a good thing for everybody. I mean, you don't have to be terminal. You don't have to be old. You know what I mean? But I'm both. I mean, I'm terminal and I'm old. So I got to be really stupid not to take care of some problem.
The thing is that it's having that conversation. You don't want to talk about it. I mean, I kind of do, but most of the time you don't. But you have that conversation and you get things put together and taken care of, and then you move on. And you don't talk about it every day. You don't. I mean, this member is her husband's bringing it up, and she's going through this. But generally, you get your ducks in a row, and then
The real problem is you talk about it, you don't act on it.
What's that?
The real issue is that you talk about it, but you don't act on it.
Well, exactly. So we say we got to do this.
Stuff to blue in the face. It's sort of like talking about a cure on memory people. We could do that day in and day out. Would
at the end of the day, did we get anything done? No.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so Deborah said here, let's see. Deborah said, I couldn't have this conversation with Mom. She can no longer follow conversations like this. And yeah, we totally get that. Yeah.
You want to have it
early. Yeah. And then I think at that point, because we see that on MP a lot, is that you just try to think of what would Mom have wanted. That's a really difficult place to be in, but you would want to honor the wishes as best you could of what Mom would want.
Here's I remember we talked about this. What was we saying?
Talking about getting your last wishes or getting things in order for if you die or Phyllis dies or whatever.
Yeah. Well, whatever I was going to say was very important and it was very poignant.
Right.
But it ain't there now. Yeah.
That's okay. Maybe
yeah, I had it on my mind. But
was it something about what you and Phyllis June have planned or whatever?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yep. I don't know what it was about. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I might come back.
Yeah.
Jean said here, after my 46-year-old was diagnosed with FTD, my husband and I planned everything out for our future. It was an eye-opener. So, Jean, I guess, are you talking about a daughter or son?
Leanne,
what?
I'm going to go let the pups out. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right.
This is real life. Dogs
we'll talk about you while you're gone.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So 46-year-old was diagnosed with FTD. My husband and I planned everything out for our future. It was an eye-opener. I definitely, I agree with you, Jean. Things like that, daughter, okay. Things like that, yeah. That kind of brings the reality of the importance of all of it. It's just right there. And like, we didn't think a lot about this. We did a little bit, but then we had our daughter Maggie was born 10 years after our first 3 kids. And it's like Rick was saying, he and Phyllis are getting up there. Well, my husband and I aren't exactly in our 30s anymore. So it's kind of like something happens to us. Well, we got to think about Maggie, because the deal is our other 3 kids are self-sufficient now. They're married and on their own, but obviously Maggie's not. So we had, we right away put a plan in place for the care of her. And then, like I was saying, we want to have things to where they are buttoned up for these kids as much as they can be. Into because she couldn't. Yeah. And this isn't working right. I wish I could scroll up and down and see these comments, but Denise, after my first dad's stroke, I had the hard conversation and we went to the lawyer. Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So somebody made a comment now about this. Denise, a different one, but she said, after my dad's first stroke, I had the hard conversation and we went to the lawyer and had papers drawn. It's now time for me to get my paperwork ready.
That's right.
That's a good thing.
And here's the thing. People listen to this or listen to it next week or something. If you haven't done that, it's okay. There's a lot of people who haven't. You haven't. I mean, there's a lot of people who haven't. And that's...
We've done some. Not all.
Does life have, you just get caught up in life, This is what I was going to say. We sit here and act like it's easy to do. Well, we don't, but it's not easy to do. First of all,
it's easy to talk about. Yeah.
That's what I meant. It's easy to talk. And here's another thing. A lot of people won't have that conversation because they're very private.
Yeah.
Your mom or your grandma or grandpa, they don't even, that's the last thing you want to get out of them, how much money they got in the bank or where they want to, what kind of, whatever, It's just not going to happen. So you just got to do the best you can do.
If it's your parents, then you got to, yeah, exactly. But if it's like for me and Lewis, because it's like everything else, I can see what, our parents have done or whatever, and I can say, well, this is how I want to do it. This is what we want to, whatever. Not saying they did anything wrong, but it just,
right.
we're in control of what we're doing.
All kind of stuff my parents did. I mean, my mom and dad is divorced, and so is Phyllis's. So we was dealing with 4 different, couples.
Yeah.
Not one of them, not any of them, hasn't made preparations for anything, and that's okay. We had to do it. That's what you do. I mean,
I was going to say, it just puts it. Yeah.
You got to do it. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Does it? You certainly don't think anything less of them. You just think they would have had something taken care of, and
right.
Stepdad did as far as his, as far as some of his banking and stuff like that. But and where he was going to be buried at, he's going to be buried where my mom was, and things like that. That was obvious. But
yeah.
My wife's mom, she's buried up in Roscoe Cemetery, and her dad's buried down here at South Lawn Cemetery. So there's a big, she want to be buried up there with her mom or down there with her dad. I'm going to be buried with her, so I don't care where we go.
Yeah.
But I think we've got some plots up where her mom is, and the story is, the way it's going to go, if Phyllis, something happens to her, she'll be buried there, and then I'll be cremated and buried with her. Or if I go first, I'll be cremated and, I don't know, probably sit on a shelf somewhere here at the house. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I don't know. We haven't talked about this.
Yeah. But over time, you both will wind up together in that spot. Yeah. Okay. Maria said it's too late to talk with Mom about this, but we always reassure her that we'll always be here for her. She trusts us to do the best for her, and we will continue to do our best. But with our kids, we're already having the talk.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. A lot of parents feel like, whatever they decide will be fine. It just puts a lot on your kids. It really does. I mean,
and it's had a period of time when, your parents getting really sick, and now they've just died, and that is all completely devastating enough.
Oh, sure it is. I mean, you lose one parent, it's horrible. Then you lose the second one, you got to get down and pick out a casket. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that. Everybody's got to do it, but nobody wants to do that and make arrangements and things.
Or even an end of life type things, does Mom want extensive measures taken or not, or whatever. And that is one thing. Both our sets of parents, they did have all that put down specifically.
That's a big thing there, buddy. That's a big, big thing, because you can have brothers and sisters that think they know what Mom wanted, and the other one thinks they wanted. I mean, it's a big issue.
Exactly, and it's a really hard period of time now. You're down to where, death is coming around the corner, and things are really difficult. And
I'm trying to get Phyllis Jr. to go to the funeral home with me because I want to take it down. I want to get the casket. I want to get everything done.
Yeah,
all the hours and all that stuff, but she ain't there yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Do whatever.
Denise said, did you say? See, I'm looking at the Facebook screen and the video is a couple seconds behind, so it looked like you were okay. So Denise said he then ended up having 2 more strokes, and the last one put him the position overnight that he had to be placed into memory care. I'm so grateful that we had the conversation with him. So, yeah.
You will never be sorry that you had that conversation, ever.
That's exactly it.
I mean,
and the sooner the better.
That's what I tell people. I used to tell them, I still tell them if they want to listen. But you can never place somebody too soon. Everybody's like, well, how am I going to know when it's time? Well, nothing's going to happen if you place somebody too soon. But a lot of things are going to happen if you wait too long, and none of them are good.
Yeah.
They could fall and break a hip. I mean, the list goes on. Hell, I could find them and they're dead or something. I mean, there are all kinds of things that go wrong when you wait too long. I know people that's done that, and it's their decision. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And I know people that has placed their family member, and they think it's the best thing they ever did. And it is, in my opinion, but that's my opinion.
Yeah. You've said that quite a few times, and I think the thing is, like what we see in on memory people is that once that's in your mind, when should I place whatever, that it's a lot of times, that's in your mind because it's very well timed to place, or maybe it even has been timed to place them, or
same with the driver's license. People driving, when you're thinking maybe they shouldn't be driving, they've probably already met that that point. And that's another hard thing to do. Take somebody, just take their ability to drive away from them. Gee whiz, that's got to be. I'll tell you a funny little story. One time when I was in law enforcement, me and a buddy of mine, we was in town. We was working. We was both in uniform, had our cruisers out front. We went into this store that sold a lot of police things like guns and holsters, like that. So we're in there browsing around. We was going to buy something.
Wait, who were you with? I missed that.
I was with another officer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In there, we knew the owner. We just talking and having a good time. And I heard something that sounded like a 747 coming in for a landing, and it was tires screeching and burning. And I looked out. When I looked out, all I seen was this guy smash right into the back of Steve's cruiser. He hit it so hard he drove it into mine.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, that's what we said. Yeah. So we go out, and here, sure enough, here was this older gentleman. God, I know he was in his 80s, and he had no idea about. I mean, he was just.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
He didn't even know he hit anything. I mean, it was just sad, and but I remember the family thanking us for. I mean, we treated him with respect, of course. I mean, he caused an accident, and he a lot of damage to cruisers, but this is one of those things, that could be fixed.
Did he have dementia?
Oh, yeah.
He did have dementia.
Okay. He was coming out of a barber shop, and he got in the car. And the only thing we can figure out, he had it in neutral, and he thought it was in park, and he was giving it gas. And then when he realized it wasn't going anywhere, he just popped it down into drive, and it just shot it head like a cannon.
Thank God you guys weren't in the car, or, I mean, you think about the stuff that could have happened. If he had caused injury.
We had a shotgun rack, and it knocked my gun clear out of the. I mean, it was a good accident. I'm surprised. I'm glad he didn't get hurt. He had a seatbelt on, thank goodness. His airbag went off. There's all kinds of things going on.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
what I was getting at, he shouldn't have been driving, and his family, when we talked to them, they knew that, but they hadn't done anything about it. Now look, the mess they're in,
Exactly. Right. Because something has to be, like you've said before, nobody's going to say, oh, well, it's everything's okay because he has dementia. We're not going to, I mean, he still will have to have charges, whatever.
I mean, that's the law. I mean, he crashed 2 cruisers, and, his insurance took care of it. And I mean, he didn't get a deal or nothing. There was nobody who's going to do that, but his license was obviously revoked, and his insurance took care of the damage and stuff. And we had to cite him for not having his car under control. He absolutely didn't.
It's just thank God he didn't hurt someone.
Oh yeah.
On our local news a couple nights ago, I think I had told you there was an elderly gentleman, I think 80, and he took off at noon to go meet a friend at the casino.
Yeah.
And I checked. After we talked, I went back and checked, and he was found. He actually showed back up at his house later on. I mean, this was like way later in the day.
Yeah.
But he had gotten completely turned around, and I just thought, hopefully, because that's serious. He was missing for like over 10 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And at that point, that's not when you say, gosh, I don't know if we should take the keys away. That's when it's like, if they're gone. I mean,
And I mean, maybe there's nothing to come up before that, but it's hard to think that something didn't happen before that. That was an eye-opener.
First thing. Right.
Not, but
yeah.
Got to be vigilant, I mean, I've told this story 1,000 times, but Phyllis June has drove everywhere we go for the last 20, 25 years because I had to drive in my career for a living. And I don't drive hardly any at all. She drives everywhere we go and has forever. So my position is the day I can't drive anymore, it's not going to be a big deal to me. Now that could change.
Right.
Years. I mean, I could just go off the deep end.
Right.
I don't see that happening, but the people it happens to probably didn't see it happening either. So. Right.
We see that things can change. They were really easygoing, but this happened, and whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, I guarantee you, I know her, and she'll absolutely. Well, so will Tia. When it comes to that, before anything happens, I won't be driving.
Like it or not, they'll make sure that you're safe, because that's a safety. Make sure you're safe and other people are safe. That does come up. I was going to say, and this is another topic too, but the whole driving thing. And when a member posts and says, we know that mom or dad shouldn't be driving, but, they're not going to want to have this conversation with our else, and what can we do? And that is a question that does come up. What can you do about it if dad shouldn't be driving? And
well, here's the thing. Like I've said many, many times, just like this guy hit our cruisers, he wasn't above the law. Nobody's above the law, and law don't care if you've got dementia. If your loved one's got dementia and he, for whatever reason, goes left to center and hits somebody and kills them, you better believe that's going to come up.
Yeah. Oh my
God. Defense attorney that's going to say, when was he diagnosed with Alzheimer's? I can just hear it.
Yeah.
It may all of that have nothing to do with the accident, but they're going to make sure that that's brought up in front of a jury.
And injuries are going to be paid. Someone is going to be on the line for.
You better believe it.
Yeah. Or property damage.
When I was first diagnosed, I got a hold of them, and I was afraid they'd drop me. And they said, no, we'll never do that. But if something happens, that'll be the last coverage that we have with you, because you won't be able to afford the premium.
Yeah, right.
Can't blame them. I've never had 10 years now. I've never had I've never had an accident. Yeah, ever. Yeah. I did years ago. 25 years ago, I had a wreck, but not since I've been diagnosed. The chances of me having a wreck's pretty slim because I don't drive.
Right. And you don't go, a wreck can happen anywhere, but even when you drive, it's very close to home and stuff.
This time of year, I'll start driving up the camper, and that'd be it. Camper and back, and that'd be it. But I'm in no hurry. I don't ever speed or nothing like that. But like you said, anything could happen. Somebody go left or center.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen people, I know that with my mother-in-law, because she used to drive, and it was the doctor that said, we really need to have you just have an ID instead of a driver's license. And she accepted that. She's a woman too. I do think it's a little bit different for men, but she accepted that. And I thought that was good. And I think that is a good way to do it, because that puts the blame or whatever on anybody but the caregiver.
Well, on the doctor, and they've got a sense of authority. There's no doctor in the world. There just isn't. They can say this, that they're going to take your driver's license. There's no doctor in the world can take your driver's license.
Able to do that.
Your vehicles is the only people that can do that, and that comes with a court order. You can't call down because your dad's driving, you don't want him to, and call down the BMV, say, I don't want him driving anymore. Can you pull his license? Well, they're not going to do that.
Right.
They're not going to do that. Yeah, that's a right. Yeah. So, but it is up to the family, and it's serious, serious.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen, we've had members on MP say, that dad's really belligerent about it. He doesn't care what the doctor said. And I know one member we had, she went out and disabled the car, and she just said, I'm sorry, Dad, it's just not working. We're going to have to get it fixed. They've gone to all kinds of measures to make sure that,
I've had people tell me I shouldn't be driving. They don't even know me. Just because I got Alzheimer's, they said, well, I can't believe you're driving. I'm like, what? Don't know me, never met me, never will meet me, but I shouldn't be driving because I've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. That's how absurd some things are.
Right. Well, and you're not the only patient I know that does drive.
Oh,
patients work and they drive and they, do all kinds. At a certain point, things get too challenging and you're not able to do as much. But the moment you're diagnosed with, like we were saying, the day before you were diagnosed and the day you were, nothing has changed in the disease.
You know me and Phyllis June about as good as anybody does, and you can attest to this. When you guys were here 2 or 3 times on vacation, if you didn't know I had Alzheimer's, you wouldn't know it. I mean, you really wouldn't. I mean, you would see things that I forget. That's obvious, but you just think, well, he don't remember nothing, or But it isn't like I shuffle when I walk, or I bend over, or drooly.
Well, I mean, but assume everybody looking at this video, no, you're not sitting there staring at the wall. We did one a few weeks ago where you were having a bad day, and it was difficult, to put it mildly. But by looking at you and communicating with you, no.
Yeah. So that's with a lot of dementia patients until later. I think I'm in the mid stage. That's what I think, but the later stages is pretty obvious because you lose a lot of cognitive ability and a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet. I've lost a lot of things, but nothing that really anybody can tell.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody that knows me knows. I mean, a handful, but not very many people knows I can't read. But that would shock them. I'm telling you.
Right, or that you deal with nightmares at night, or whatever. You've talked about all kinds of stuff. We talked about it, walking into a room and it's dark and it's not, the instinctual thing is to turn around, flip on the light switch. And sometimes that just doesn't come to mind or whatever. I've
been struggling the last few weeks. The dog, not the dogs, but Emma Lou, our boxer, she's been getting up. I had to take her out 2 or 3 times every night now for about a week or 2. And I don't mind that because she's got to go to the bathroom. She scratches, you got to get up and let her out. But I have a horrible time trying to get back to sleep because I just do.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to do about that. It just started. I don't know. It's just odd.
Yeah. I wonder if she has like some sort of an infection or something or whatever. Nothing else is different. She's just getting up a lot during the night. Yeah. I wonder, when the weather's nicer and she can go run around and stuff like that,
I hope so. I mean, when she up to camper, once I open up that door and she goes in there I let them in about 11 o'clock or midnight. You don't hear nothing out of them. Yeah. They lay on that porch like, you let me in now.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we're over a couple hours, and if anybody else has left comments, I can't scroll on this thing to see them, so hopefully I haven't missed anything, but hopefully next time we'll be back in the group and everything will be back.
Yeah. I'm sure they may have it fixed now. They didn't get a hold of us, but we called them yesterday, and it's just some sort of thing. It's a mess.
Facebook changed something and this wouldn't work in groups, and so they were getting it fixed. So
we hadn't done one for a couple weeks, so this will be posted and people will see it. Now we got a few people watching. That's a good thing. That's always
great. It was great.
Yeah. For about an hour, I didn't think anybody was commenting.
Jeez.
I thought you were going to jump out of your chair.
Gosh. It's like, this was a big mistake. Oh, it's great.
All right, then. I'll get a hold of you here as soon as we're done.
Okay. Sounds good.
I want to thank everybody for putting up with us for a couple hours, inviting us into your home.
Yeah. It was good.
I hope you did learn something. That's what we always try to do. We try to, I didn't realize that, or that might work, or whatever. That's what we always try to do, and we laugh a lot and have a good time. But it's a lot of this is very serious, and we know the pressures you're under.
Right.
You know it as a caregiver, and I know it as a patient. I know. I mean, there's nothing to laugh about. It's devastating, but. Take one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time.
Yeah.
Step back and always have this in your mind. You got to have a plan. If you can't deal with something that's going on today, chances are you're not going to be able to deal with it in 6 months, because that's probably going to get a lot worse, whatever it is, and maybe a few other things on top of that.
Yeah. And sometimes the plan's going to involve doing stuff you never, like placing your loved one, placing your husband, I mean, who could ever imagine that? But, and it may not ever, you may never have to use that plan, but I think just knowing that that's there can help today. Knowing that,
And I'm telling you, it's one of the grievous things you can do for someone.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because you're absolutely taken care of and you're just not doing it yourself. Someone else has the 24-hour care, and it's a good thing. I mean, I've been around nursing homes in 20 years. They're nothing like they was 20 years ago. These places, they're all up to snuff now. They got wool carpet and big flat screen TVs, and
they're amazing.
They bend over backwards to get your business.
Yeah. So,
well, Ann, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was good.
I'll talk to you in just a few minutes, and I hope everybody has a good weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See you later.